It is now great pleasure to warmly welcome Professor Indu L. Shakya, PhD. Professor Shakya has been generously sharing his knowledge and insight throughout this series on understanding Bodhi. His clear explanations and practical wisdom have helped us to see how the Buddha's teaching on dependent origination directly points to freedom from suffering. We are deeply grateful for your continued guidance, Professor, and we look forward to hearing your reflections today on the experience of awakening. All of us here welcome you with warm metta and appreciation.
Thank you very much, Nanda. That was really heartwarming, and I really feel very much joyful to have such a wonderful community of Kalyana Mitras. Yeah, so we are helping each other. So we are in the journey, in that journey to freedom. Yeah. So this is I created this template of the awakening. So the Buddha's term, Bodhi, is the root word that is that's where Buddha came in, somebody who attained Bodhi. Yeah. So this part, I was looking at the template, and I divided into four parts. This kind of the process, the experience, the fruit, and the path. Yeah. So today is I'm talking about the path. So hopefully I can kind of give my explanation based on the studies and based on the direct experience of all those kind of various stages and that sort of roadmap and that sort of things have personally experienced, so that I can somewhat give that sort of a map of what this path is all about. Yeah, what is the road to end all suffering, and what is our destination, and how we're gonna get there. Yeah. So I've got this outline which I have prepared for myself, but which I can share later. So I'll be talking about several topics, but obviously it is subject to how much we can cover in the short time we have. So hopefully I can go through them. I have got plenty of references, so I will try to cover as much as possible. Yeah. So the topic I'm gonna cover is, what is this holy life? What is this kind of what is called Brahmacharya? The Buddha calls this Brahmacharya. Brahma means divine, Allah said a supramundane life. Yeah. And what does it entail, and what the Buddha had said about that? The recipe for freedom. So ultimately, what the Buddha's recipe that he has given in few words, and those few words are I'll detail that. It's called seclusion, dispersion, cessation, maturing in release. So I'll explain that what that means in terms of our, let's say, practice. Yeah. And how do we test that and personally verify that? Then I will give you a bit of a summary of the reward. Yeah, for example, the Buddha calls it Mahaphala. Maha means is the greatest, something is the supreme. Phala means the fruit. Yeah. So there are four Mahaphalas. Obviously, it's not great fruit that Bodhi and the sort of translation say great fruit. And what is that great? Yeah. So I will explain those great fruits. What does that, and how to get there by practice, and what are the things that will support this our journey towards experiencing those great fruits. Yep. So then I will I will explain the component of the Dhamma, the component of this Noble Eightfold Path, which Buddha calls it like a divine, a chariot, divine vehicle. And in our modern day terminology, it is kind of, I compare it to a huge spaceship that we are, onboarded, all of us who are practicing this path, to find the safety and security in this cosmos. Yeah. So we are kind of having that sort of, we know this universe, this cosmos is subject to all these sort of dependencies, subject to all this cosmic condition, be it physical or be it mental. All these afflictions, all these kind of impingement will not let us go anywhere. So we are trapped in this sort of a cosmic condition, in this life and death situation. And what is our that sort of spaceship, that divine vehicle that will allow us to transcend this kind of cosmic condition, to give us that sort of ultimate relief of not being subject to that sort of afflictions. So that is and there are millions of potentially infinite eightfold paths, and there is only one noble eightfold path, supramundane, and what is called the Arya noble eightfold path. And I'll probably touch upon that sort of Majjhima Nikaya 117. What is the distinction? Why Buddha is giving that sort of mundane noble eightfold path and the supramundane? Yeah. So hopefully this will give you a little bit of context as to why I am undertaking such a, let's say, a major undertaking, which I hope I can deliver. It's not that uh, uh, I am packing so much of information in one session, but hopefully you will get something out of this. Yeah. So this path, and I do kind of go. I do remember in 2010, that sort of a time, I was very confused and I was not sure. I have grown up as a kind of a kid in the Buddhist family, but I was not that sort of getting that sort of. I was thirsty about what is we have got all these teachings of the Buddha that says that it will lead us to some sort of a, let's say, end of suffering. What does that all mean? How do I get a first hand experience of this end of suffering? What is that sort of a, that is sort of liberating inside a freedom that I personally can experience, to be free of those sort of afflictions. Yeah. Yeah, I knew this life is really, it's a mixed bag, in the sense that we got some joy and happiness, but the majority of our life is really, the life is not giving us that sort of assurance that we will be spared from the sort of destiny. Yeah. So I was contemplating, we know Buddha has given so much, as kind of uh, things for us to look forward to, but how? Yeah. How do I get there? So I was in some sort of a situation of desperation back in 2010, but I was busy and I had to do something. Look, these are and I have my priority. I have to get on with my life. I need to complete my, let's say, a job. That sort of, yeah. All these sort of things. These are, what happens is that we tend to push those sort of, our, this sort of, uh, let's say, reality check, and that sort of getting, finding out that sort of a big picture of what is the reality, and we can easily get carried away with that sort of daily practical issues, and we can get tangled in those sort of micro and mini that sort of distractions. And we have got a limited life, 40 years, 50 years, how much we learn. we got. So that is kind of a situation we have, and there is a really good opportunity to make use of our human existence to taste that personally, taste that freedom that that Buddha has given so much of ways for us to test that. So this is why I now I look back at the time 15 years back. I am in kind of, it gives me the personal assurance and solace that yes, I can say that for sure that that kind of education, that sort of a mind of confused state, I'm kind of I am fully assured. No matter what happens to life, there is nothing for us for me to worry about. So when you go through this path, you will have that sort of conviction. You will be able to 100% assure yourself that no matter what happens to this life, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you have kind of achieved that level of confidence because of this practice in the Dhamma. Yeah, so that is the eightfold path. I wanted to explore a little bit. Buddha's path is that sort of a, it has got a Buddha's path, the reward for the Buddha's path. Buddha calls it Mahaphalas. So hopefully we all at least manage to test those core Mahaphalas for greatest fruits. Um, and I do remember one of those some articles I read that even the trillionaire, or I think the first trillionaire is going to be Elon Musk. And Elon Musk is apparently worried about this. What happens when this life ends? And he is so frightened that if one day he will lose his life, everything he has amassed is gonna just go away. So in that sense, that at least we will be more in a stable place than such a trillionaire or billionaire, because we have that sort of a path of freedom that we have personally tested. Yeah. So this is the path. What is this path? Yeah, and this is the path, like a spaceship, that we are kind of heading towards some sort of the state of unconditioned, where nothing in this universe, nothing in this cosmos is gonna go able to affect us. Yeah. So that is the freedom, and it sounds a bit of a, and there are many kind of questions and curiosities that will somewhat drag us in this. These are like a gravity of the earth. Yeah, we need that sort of practice, that sort of uh, a way of letting go of this sort of distraction to make that sort of initial step. Yeah, to step out of this sort of, let's say, a very heavy, very mundane life, and embark into that journey in the graduated state. Yeah, and we have, so this path is not that sort of, it's a very smooth, very comforting, very joyful and peaceful, harmonious. This path is the, you can, anything in this world, if you have nothing in this world give you that sort of a joy and happiness, assurance and comfort than this path. Yeah. So it's really, we have to be at ease. The journey to that sort of such a great, uh, path starts with that sort of, we need to have that sort of a very, we should let go of the burden. Yeah? So that's why living in this household life and that sort of things will have the tendency to drive us, and I'm enticed by that sort of, enchanted by that sort of sensual thoughts, sensual pleasures. These are the, what I say, the coarsest type of distractions that we have to we have to manage. Yeah. And what is the recipe? And the recipe for liberation, Buddha gives them in four terms. The recipe of freedom is seclusion, dispassion, cessation, and finally maturing release. So I'll explain this. So the path is, I have already mentioned about the distraction. So what are the distractions? Distraction are anything that has got the potentials to drag you in this sort of a conditioned experience. Yeah. So the courses kind of a distraction that we have to embark and let go of is the sensual pleasure. Yeah. The the state of ill will, the state of restlessness and remorse, the state of sloth and sorrow, and the state of doubt. Yeah. So, and among those, uh, the path of jhana, under the Buddha calls it the jhana as a terminology, which is a, a temporary liberation from what sort of sensual pleasures and unwholesome state. So these encapsulate the distractions I just mentioned. Those five hindrances, Buddha calls it like a secluding from sensual pleasure and secluding from those unwholesome state of greed, hatred, and delusion. Then this path is the first step is the secluding yourself. Yeah. So it's not the freedom from the five hindrances, it's secluding yourself. So how do you seclude yourself? By not paying attention to those sensual thought, those sensual perception, those arising intention of ill will, the arising kind of reactions to harm and to cause harm to others. So it's a very very practical, and this is really a foundation, the core of this noble eightfold path. Yeah. So we have many other practices in the world that tend to completely either ignore this reality that they can just abandon this all this sort of the practice of letting go of unwholesome and simply direct their mind toward the sort of an object, meditation object. So, and that kind of meditation object focusing on this breath, focusing on the nostril breath, focusing on sort of visual signs, candlelight, that sort of things, or some beam of light. There are many practices which look very very uh, let's say very good and very, let's say, uh, supreme, and they think that you can be united with that sort of divine, yeah, that sort of by having the mind connected with your ultimate self, you will be liberated. So this kind of uh, so that's why in a noble eightfold path, the Buddha's path may appear bit uninteresting to vast majority of people, and they may completely ignore that and focus on something which is flashy and shiny. Yeah. So this path, the noble eightfold path, is grounded in the reality. Yeah. So these are the kind of good thing. Without abandoning this, reality of this grosser and that sort of, let's say, very down to earth distractions, our journey to the freedom is impossible. Yeah. So without, it's your practice, the fruit, your great fruit, and your achievement to those sort of Mahaphalas is impossible. It's if you start with that sort of, if you bypass these sort of fundamentals, your practice will not yield any result. Yeah. So all those sort of things, all those sort of practices, they are geared towards that sort of temporary gratification, temporary that sort of experiences, and that sort of things will trap us in this experience, for longer. Yeah. So, and there is a really good sutta I discovered in. I did a bit of I was curating what kind of sutta I could explore in this talk. So there is sutta. If you want to understand this kind of what the Buddha's words are, Buddha said that this is in Samyutta Nikaya, section on the Noble Eightfold Path. I think it's called Samyutta Nikaya, 48 or 46. Yeah. So just have a look, and that is a section on the Eightfold Path. Yeah, and in that Eightfold Path, Buddha gives there is a right Noble Eightfold Path, and there is a wrong Eightfold Path. Yeah, and Buddha says that what is the worst in the among the wrong Eightfold Path, and he says that among the worst, the worst Eightfold Path, and says, and then he already gives that sort of wrong view, wrong intention, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood. These are the wrong Eightfold Path. And what is the worse than the? Is there anything worse than the wrong Eightfold Path? And Buddha says yes. He says that something even worse than the wrong Eightfold Path is the wrong insight, wrong knowledge, and wrong liberation. So it's really that kind of, there are practices that claim to liberate you, and those practices are even worse than your mundane life. Yeah. So it's kind of, even if you are not virtuous, and if you are living a wrong livelihood, wrong intention, that sort of things, following a wrong knowledge and wrong liberation is even more harmful. So just bear in mind that it's kind of we probably want to stay away from that sort of wrong liberation, wrong knowledge, wrong tenfold path. Yeah. So this is the, I just thought that to give a little bit of context is that you really probably, if you have that sort of some sort of conviction in the teachings of the Buddha, if you think that what the Buddha said actually makes sense, and it is coming from somebody who has abandoned the world to in this life, he abandoned everything. So if you can just make that sort of at least some assessment, he must have he's one of those person seeking welfare of many. Then just take heed of those. Yeah. So if you have any sort of conviction, any sort of I will not call it faith. Uh, in Pali, it's called Saddha. Yeah. So Saddha is it's like a respect. It's a conviction of the Buddha's freedom. Yeah. So that is why this is what the Buddha said. We need to avoid that sort of what the Buddha says, to falling into, not at least stay away from that sort of wrong liberation, miles away. So and then at least avoid the wrong eightfold path, to follow the what is called the right eightfold path. And then when the right eightfold path is mature and perfected, then we will have the supramundane or noble Arya eightfold path. Yeah. So I will go through that in a bit. So this is a very, very important point. I just thought, rather than these sort of things are essential So practicing and going into this sort of bliss of jhana, making that sort of mind and body suffused with the joy and pleasure of jhana is all well and good. Yeah. So there is nothing wrong with that sort of a pleasure and joy that arise from letting go. Yeah. So that is uh, one of the things that might entice us. Yeah. So the pleasure of jhana is really good. Yeah. So and that's why I picked out that sort of recipe. Yeah. So the seclusion is, Buddha doesn't say jhana, because when you are secluded sufficiently from those sort of unwholesome states, the fruit of that is your what is called the pleasure and joy of jhana. Yeah. So that is the first step, is that you seclude yourself and you let go, and that fruit arises without even you trying to do. Yeah. So no need to make the jhana arise. Jhana arises automatically. Jhana arises naturally when you have let go of sort of unwholesome state. Yeah. So, and in this respect, the Buddha's path is fundamentally different from other practices. Yeah. We navigate this path by abandoning, yeah, by letting go. We are not trying to create an experience of jhana. Yeah. I know there are practices that allows you to suppress those hindrances, suppress those sort of defilements, and it will give you the sort of experience of jhana. Yeah. So you can arrive at the jhana by either of these means, but there are, and that is what I call the wrong eightfold path. Is that your path to liberation, your, if you want to say that jhana is your some jhana is your, let's say call it concentration, then that is a wrong concentration. Yeah. So that is a wrong eightfold path. So they have arrived at the practice and that sort of fruit of jhana through wrong means. Yeah. So obviously that is harmful. That what the Buddha says, that is not going to lead you to the welfare and happiness. Yeah. So how we arrive at this sort of kind of progressive stages is by secluding ourselves, because it's a really, when I would call this as a Buddha had to be strategic. Yeah. So and it's a very very practical, and it's a very very directly, it has got, the Buddha's path is just in exploration. It's like a gold mine. Yeah. You are discovering more and more yourself, and everything is self-evident. You know for sure this is the right result. This is the right practice, and it will give you the right result. And what is that sort of right result that you can be personally assured of? Anything that will give you that sort of relief, the comfort, the freedom, the spaciousness, anything that will release the burden. Yeah. So it's kind of a, what I said, the nearest analogy to that sort of experience I have is, think of that sort of empty space. Yeah. Or Buddha calls it akas dhatu. Yeah. Akas means this space element, and you will experience that sort of a boundless experience where none of the kind of senses, none of the kind of mental context have affected this equilibrium of the mind. Yeah. So it's like a very very open and spacious comfort, and a light and very bright state of mind. Yeah. So when you practice your jhana, your kind of a seclusion and that sort of a practice of letting go of this sort of unwholesome land you to that jhana experience, and you will you will see that it's kind of out of all this sort of noise and that sort of a very very shaky kind of that sort of a confused state of mind. You have just dipped into a very vast expanse of space with tranquility, joy, happiness, spaciousness, comfort, and the sort of a very, very otherworldly. Yeah, it's really, you cannot find anything like this in this universe. Yeah, it just goes out of that sort of experience to find. And so you can already see how we directly test that Buddha's path. Yeah, so your sense awareness will become even sharper. Yeah, so it's not kind of, some teachers say that you will chop all your five senses. No, your five senses will become even sharp. You will hear every tiny, even your ear will detect all the sort of even minute kind of sound contacts. Yeah, so everything happens in front of you, but you remain unperturbed. You remain unaffected, shall I say, uh, by that sort of all this sort of sensory impingement. And that is what the path of seclusion is, that you gradually abandon. So abandon that and abandon. Yeah. So it's a gradual process. Yeah. Buddha gives that sort of four level of that sort of jhana. First jhana is very, very, very shaky and vibratory. It's got some excitement in there. It has got some sort of joy and a rapture. That sort of, it's really good. Yeah. And the you can also become what is called the jhanas. If you have stayed in this jhana for long enough, then you will also see the, some sort of uh, discomfort, sort of a little bit of unease in this jhana. Yeah. So that is why the first jhana is that sort of a bit coarser, and you switch to the second jhana, your that sort of rapture and pleasure has subsided. It has become little bit calmer and become more stable. Yeah, and that is how the mind progresses. It just releasing yourself, your experience with any burden. So in the first jhana you have the rapture and pleasure, and your rapture and pleasure is a distraction. So if you have already seen it, and if your mind is enticed with that sort of rapture and pleasure, just let that go. It is also, you need to let go and progress further. And as soon as you have let go of that, you have secluded yourself from the first jhana, then you have automatically, just pops out of nowhere. Yeah, you don't need to bring anything. The second jhana will appear, something like that. It's like Buddha calls it like there is a source of light and there is a shade. Yeah, and an object that is creating the shade. Yeah. So when the light moves, the shade also moves. Yeah. In a similar way, when you have a kind of object, when your object of attention has moved, then your experience also moves. Yeah. So second jhana will give it a little bit of uh, better comfort and that's freedom. Yeah. So you can directly see that this is the first jhana, this is the second jhana. You can flip, go back and forth, back and forth. Then this is just there is some level of unease in the first jhana which doesn't exist in the second jhana. And if you stay in the second jhana for a good enough time, then you also notice that there are some kind of some kind of element of, let's say, unease in second jhana, and you abandon that. All you need to do is just let go of your attention to be gratified with that experience and just relax. Yeah, and you don't know, even know you have already landed into the third jhana. So this is a very very natural process. Yeah, this is how it leads you to the what is the culmination of the noble eightfold path to arrive at that sort of a complete liberation. So going back to the recipe, dispassion. So the second step is that our path is not to be enamored, not to be kind of enticed by these jhanas. Yeah, because these are dependently reason phenomena. Yeah. So because mind made a contact with the sort of let's say mind and mind object. Yeah. So mind made a contact with the sort of an object that is devoid of that sort of sensual pleasure. So there is a element of what is called the rapture and joy that is the opposite of the sensual pleasure. So when mind made a contact with that, based on that, the feeling arises. Yeah? So that feeling, that jhana is a feeling of that sort of contact with that sort of experience. Yeah. So that is we can already see that the process of dependent origination in play in all of the jhana. Yeah. So and that is why just think of this is that all these experiences there in every joint of these experiences in between there is a kind of a four noble truth embedded in there. So you already know this. If you stay in that sort of experience for long enough, that experience will become suffering, and there is a suffering, and the cause of suffering is your attention, is your what is called the continuation for it to last. Yeah. So and the more we try to engage with, the more we try to long for that sort of experience, the more unstable, the more vibratory, unstable it becomes. Yeah. So just sit in the meditation with that sort of your mind and your observation, and what the mind you in your screen of mind, what happens is that it's like a have you played with the ping pong ball or some sort of, I know there are some players they play tennis in the wall. Yeah. So the harder they hit the wall, the harder it bounces back. Yeah. So and that's sort of like some the world's best tennis players. They test that sort of their strike, how accurate they can hit by testing against the wall. Yeah. So and mine is like a wall. Yeah. So you got this experience. The more you want, the more that mind will throw you back. Yeah. So and that's why this is a reaction. Yeah. So it's gonna you are projecting onto something as if these are popping out of nowhere and feeding you. And what the mind is like a perfect mirror. Yeah. Or sort of a very very smooth wall. You throw something, it will bounce back. Yeah. So anything you throw and try to, let's say, create, it will bounce back. So anything. So that is so we need to look at from that perspective is that the more you try, the more you actively pursue, the more futile the result it will deliver. Yeah. So it is very and even in that experience, even in that sort of in that play, there is a subtle notion of contact. Yeah, I already mentioned. What is the contact? Contact is the sort of coming together of your attention and the sort of the wall, the sort of substance that you create, and the reaction. Yeah, that is the so all these things happen in the point of contact. Yeah, so that's why dependent origination is everywhere. Yeah, anywhere you see is stuck in behind all of our experiences. So and we just see it. Yeah, that dependent origination is sustaining this universe. Yeah, it's really this universe exists because of the reactions. Yeah, because of our let's say if our intention, our attention, our consciousness, feeling, these sort of things are all the sort of things sustaining this process of what it is, what is ultimately there is no other fruit of dependent origination than suffering, death, illness, sorrow, lamentation. That's it. Yeah. So I have not heard, seen or heard anybody, any teacher trying, making this reality uh, otherwise. Yeah. So there is no other way if you engage and if you allow this process to continue. Yeah. Nobody, no, nobody in the science or in the philosophies, in any tradition, they have not been able to change the course of dependent origination. Yeah. This is simply, this is the reality. Yeah. And whenever you try to change this reality, that's it. You are already swept away because you have already engaged that sort of in that sort of reaction. And whenever there is a reaction, there is a that reaction causes you to either to stay away from that or yeah, chain reaction already started. So that is why this impenetrable barrier, yeah, this sort of wall that we create due to reaction is Buddha saw that is this universe is we are surrounded by sort of wall of ignorance, wall of mental projection, and it's really Buddha said that Nirodha is everywhere. Yeah. So what is the Nirodha? Is the sort of aperture, some sort of crack in those all these sort of walls that allows you to penetrate and taste the what is called the unconditioned, taste the freedom. Is that freedom? We don't need to go to anywhere. That freedom is lies everywhere. Yeah. So this is what the Buddha discovered. That is what is embedded in the sort of four noble truth. Yeah. So if we can understand noble truth through this sort of experiential insight, then we will be able to uh, see that why why did why we didn't discover this process earlier. Yeah. So we are in a much better place right now because we if we can get equipped with this sort of insight, then our progress to that sort of a liberation is going to be like a split second. We all of us can be free of this sort of suffering by that sort of just having this insight. Yeah. And first insight is that just to crack this knot of dependent origination is that we just didn't see that. Yeah. When we saw that these are all sustained by the reaction because of our engagement with all these phenomena, and by secluding ourselves, by not not trying to be possessed of and being completely be uh, detached. So let's say distancing ourselves from relinquishing, then yeah, this process will lead to the next step on this one is seclusion. Dispassion, I mentioned that. Dispassion is to get tired of, to be to be kind of a fully kind of a yeah, fed up with that sort of process. Yeah. So you know that you have, it's like a been there, done that. Yeah. So what's, there is nothing for us to glue into, to be enticed. And that dispassion is gonna shake this sort of will open the crack in that sort of a wall of that, let's say, world, yeah, that that is binding us. So then dispassion will naturally lead to what is called cessation. And what is cessation? I keep coming to this experience of cessation. So cessation is Buddha's definition of cessation is nirodha. Yeah. And what is nirodha? Nirodha is not. Uh, I think many people consider nirodha is like a stopping, ceasing. I don't really think nirodha is that. Yeah. So and I can give you a much better explanation of what nirodha is. Nirodha is, take for example a disease. Yeah. Let's say 50 years ago there used to be a very very world was suffering with cancer. Sorry, not cancer, tuberculosis. Yeah. So world has now eradicated, almost eradicated the tuberculosis. How did they do that? By the sort of some sort of a vaccine. Yeah. So it's kind of a nirodha is sort of prevention of this sort of all this sort of flow. Yeah. So prevention of this phenomenon. So when we say cessation, we need to explain what does cessation. Is it cessation of what? Yeah. Nibbana is the dukkha nirodha. Yeah. Cessation is, Nibbana is one kind of cessation. Yeah. Is the prevention of suffering is equal to Nibbana. And cessation that we generally go through this path, in the Noble Eightfold Path, is the Sanya Vedahita Nirodha. It is called cessation of perception and feeling. Yeah. So perception and feeling are very, very closely related with dependent origination. And perception and feeling are the subtlest, what is called the formation. Yeah. So this is called the mental formation. And Buddha's path is the cessation, or shall I say, tranquilization of the formation. So this is what I wanted to give a little bit of context on that. So, and if you are little bit of, and the final one is the cessation. And now assume that you have done enough practice. And if you have done enough practice and you become dispassionate, because it's a repetition cycle. And that dispassion will lead you to what is called the cessation of that sort of a process. Yeah. So Sanya Vedahita Nirodha, the cessation of perception and feeling is one of the most, let's say, important cessation. That is the culmination, that is the end point of the Noble Eightfold Path. Yeah. So if you have practiced the Noble Eightfold Path correctly, as instructed by the Buddha, you will inevitably arrive at the cessation of perception and feeling. So, and I have captured the video on that. Your cessation, as long as you have experienced any jhana, that cessation is just behind any jhana. Yeah. So you don't even need to kind of go through this infinity of space, infinity of consciousness, nothingness, zero perception. Mind can dive into Nirodha from any of the jhana. Yeah. So when the mind has sufficiently purified from the all these reactions, cessation is just on the back of your pocket. Yeah. So it will lead you that immediately to cessation, and so this will culminate in the noble path. And Buddha's path is there are two more factors: right knowledge and right liberation. Yeah. So right liberation means that is this is right liberation will lead you to those four fruits: uh, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahat. Yeah. So these are the four great fruits of what the Buddha calls Mahaphalas. Yeah. And even the trillionaires like Elon Musk, it's not there. Even if they try, they cannot get it. Yeah. Nobody in this universe can attain it by their will. Yeah. It has to. They have to go through this process. Yeah. So yeah, it's not a matter of acquiring it. It has to be attained by this very a systematic approach of the practice that the Buddha has delivered. Yeah. So cessation would then you also become cessation is gonna be like it's not gonna be a major that let's say achievement or reward. Yeah. Cessation will also become like a daily or frequent activities. You can when your mind is really composed and calm, mind can dive into cessation anytime. Yeah. So maturing is that when you have had that sort of ability to stay in the session and go into session and come back, go into session and come back, that maturation process. Yeah. So going back and forth and being familiar, that will again weaken that sort of a bondage with this universe. And that maturation of your cessation is what is going to give you that sort of a direct, kind of understanding. That's it. I'm done with this conditioned experience. That's it. This conditioned, the degree of your freedom is again related with your experience. Yeah. So your first um, encounter with this, first your fruit is Sotapanna. Yes, you have directly seen, directly have seen the unconditioned element. Yeah, that is the first fruit. First Sotapanna fruit is that you have seen what are the things that are chaining you in this sort of experience of bondage, and you have seen this that the glimpse of unconditioned element. Yeah. So and you how did you see that? Because of your practice. Yeah. Seclusion, dispersion, cessation, and because of that sort of your practice um, enough in your time, then that's it. So your first freedom is that sort of contact with that sort of unconditioned element. So that is how the maturation process is that each day, each hour, each minute of your practice is kind of pulling you towards greater and greater freedom of your mind. Yeah. So you just need to practice, and all of a sudden you notice that mind is not so angry at the sort of situations that used to make you mad. Yeah. So you test all this sort of what is called the our knots or fetters that binds us in this experience. So this you can personally test. Nobody needs to give you a certificate that you have become Sotapanna or Sakadgami. You just test it yourself. Is there any traces of doubt in this mind about this path? Yeah. So there are three fetters: personality view, the Sakayaditi, the doubt, and what is the third fetter is the uh, yeah. So these three fetters, you will directly know rituals. The third fetter is the what is the Silavata Paramasa. It's like you know for sure. You can see people bathing in the Ganges river, or lighting millions of candles, or building a temple. You know for sure all they are doing is just they are just involved in the tradition, and you know for sure there is no way that kind of activities will lead you to freedom. Personally, know that. So you will become less religious, if I can say that. Yeah. So that is the sign for you to test. Yeah. And in your Sakadagami state is that you have weakened two elements: the sensual thoughts and ill will. Yeah. So these will be restrained. Yeah. So your impulse to react and to be mad, to be in a very, very kind of sensuous about these experiences will calm down. Yeah. They will not completely be eradicated, but that they have substantially reduced. Yeah. And the next part is that again test it. Yeah? Is there any kind of sensual thought in me? Is there any kind of and and that's sort of ill will in me? Just check your reaction. Like reflect on like a mirror is amazing mirror. Yeah. That is how you yeah. In this is not a this path will everything you test yourself and be certified. Yeah. So that is how this process will unfold, and that's it. So this body, this life is precariously balanced by this sort of mental factors. Yeah. So consciousness, the namarupa, and the sort of feeling and perception, these are sustaining the kind of what is called the this frail and fragile life. Yeah. So then when these processes are gone, it's not a kind of a you will not be lamenting of losing this experience. There's far better freedom that is gonna absolutely there is no lamenting about dying. That's it. You have completely severed that sort of ties with sort of fear and dread about this life and that sort of cosmos, all these sort of mystical thoughts and that sort of things. Yeah, you are personally. That's it. Nothing happens. Whatever happened to this universe and this world, it has nothing to do with me. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. Nothing. So your connection and your engagement with all these sort of phenomena will just you are at ease. Nothing is going to impact. So this path is really really the most sublime path. Yeah, I didn't I have not heard anybody talking about this negating this path and challenging it. But I have seen somewhere recently that some teachers they are saying that there is a greater truth beyond all this sort of religious kind of Buddhism or the sort of all this sort of some teachers have found there is a greater truth and yeah what I suggest just if you have got any faith in the Buddha's words that is a wrong that will lead you to wrong liberation. Yeah. So the worst thing that you can have is the wrong liberation. Yeah. So just my word, Buddha said that there is a wrong such a thing called wrong liberation. And if you trust Buddha, stay away from that sort of wrong liberation path. Yes. Okay, that's all I say. Thank you very much. I think I have to stop here. Any questions? It's been a continuous
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your insights. I'm Sohi, and it was great talk. Can I ask just one question? And maybe it's a stupid question because I'm very new to all these meditation and TWIM. But TWIM approach is my first meditation. What do you think about why the meditation state, the jhana, brings joy and all others positive feeling? Because when I experienced that joy, I thought it was just because I did loving and kindness meditation. But you mentioned other practice, other approach, then I realized that it seems the jhana is more like broader term and regarding meditation. So other practices also can reach the jhana. So it's very interesting for me. So yeah. And actually, when I know nothing about meditation, I thought equanimity is more like what I imagined about meditation. So yeah, I just wondering about that joy and positive feelings.
Yeah. So jhana, consider jhana as a platform. Yeah. So it's kind of a plateau. Yeah. So remember, these are some stations or some sort of plateaus that you encounter when you are embarking on your journey. Yeah. So you can arrive at that sort of experience through letting go, by abandoning, or by projecting, by concentrating. Yeah. So that experience is there. Yeah. It's your approach, how how you see that. Yeah. So in the form or in the practice of attainment, practice your direction, there is a level of craving attached to that. Yeah. It intentionally suppresses the hindrances. Yeah. You just push all the hindrances away, and when the hindrances have been abandoned, you will that is the hindrance free situation. So yes, so the way you experience the Buddha's path is by letting go. Yeah. By abandoning the course of perception, by being mindful. Yeah. So you need to, everything is in front of you. Yeah. So you need to be alert. Then there are far greater experiences that you eventually have to let go. Yeah. So that is how you progress. Yeah. You and I gave you a difference. Somebody will. There are some teachers, they say they experience jhana. They didn't hear things. They didn't taste something. They cannot feel the body. So they have severed the tie with all the five sense contact. They are glued and totally unaware of the situation. So that practice and this practice is different. I mentioned that this practice is open, spacious, comforting, light, joyful, tranquil. So it's like everything, all the burdens had been taken. It's very open, spacious. So that's why why this practice is different, because there is a mindfulness supporting the samadhi state. Yeah, that samadhi state has got the support backing from mindfulness, full awareness. So Buddha called it sampajanya and sati and sampajanya, mindfulness and full awareness. Just remember, note these two terms when you are practicing. In my practice, are these two elements there or not? Yeah, along with this sort of a very sublime happiness of jhana. Yeah. So yeah, you will see all of that. That's how I see.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so yeah, that sounds really good. You have made significant progress. That's really good. You see how good you just practice, and everything will naturally unfold. Yeah. Okay. Any further thoughts?
Hi, do you have any questions for Professor?
Graham was, I think he was here.
I think Graham has to leave. He just left.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, bye. This Paul G has any questions for the professor?
And James, we haven't met, so
Hello, James. Yes. Thank you. James, it's good to see you here again. Do you have any questions for Professor?
No, I don't have any questions at this time, but I appreciated the conversation and especially the unstableness of craving and aversion. It's helpful to remind myself. Thank you.
okay. Sounds like I have given you quite a lot to digest. And
So do you have any more further questions? So
Sure.
he's very new to the TWIM practice. She attended the retreat with Venerable Obasa. Do you have further questions, Sohi?
Can I ask a more
Of
personal?
course.
Yeah. I heard the professor is a scientist. So can I ask what is your academic background? Because I'm a scientist as well. So
okay.
yeah.
So I am a researcher. I do research the latest radio and wireless communication, satellite radio technologies. So I have got a very highly kind of technical background. I explore all these sort of latest advancement on what is happening in the signal and the sort of radio propagation. How about you?
My background is mathematics and pharmacy. Well, yeah. So I'm
Good.
kind of data analysis and clinical researcher.
Yeah. So it's kind of I do research quite a lot about this. What is called the quantum phenomena, that sort of a reality in terms of perception, this kind of consciousness and so on. So I by the way, I've got written this book, all of you. This is about the Buddha's. I found one sutta in Digha Nikaya. It is called Kevada Sutta. Yeah, Kevada Sutta, and there are other suttas as well on that question. Is there an end to this space? Yeah. Is there anything beyond this space? And in that Digha Nikaya Kevada Sutta, one bhikkhu, he mastered that sort of technique to fly. Yeah. At the speed of light or something. Yeah. Something extremely remarkable speed. And he went possibly across the various planets and galaxies, and he went as far as he could. And he lived on, so he had a lifespan of 100 years. After 100 years of traveling through the cosmos, he died. Yeah. Then he was reborn as a Brahma, some sort of a being. And then he joined the Buddha's dispensation, and he said that, look, Buddha said, and he asked that sort of the same question: is there anything? Is there an end of cosmos? Is there a barrier? Is there a wall across this cosmos? And Buddha said that you are asking the wrong question. There is, it is not by traveling you will reach the end of the cosmos. That pursuit is futile. Yeah, it just goes on and on. It's simply not real. These things. So what they say is that you can experience the end of the cosmos by severing the tie of Namarupa and consciousness. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about this in the Namarupa and consciousness. That is literally what is saying that if you experience cessation, you have severed the tie of the universe. That means you have gone out of this universe. Yeah. So this book is highly loaded in the sort of supporting material. Why this pursuit is futile? Why the scientific explorations are just satisfying our temporary, curiosity, but it's not going to lead us anywhere. Yeah. And then I'm leading to this practice. Yeah. That there's a better way. Yeah. You can use your human life. Use this, your 40 years or 50 years that you have. Use this, your opportunity to practice. All these questions you'll find all the answers. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, good to kind of speak. Sorry. Yeah, let me know if you need any help.
Do you have
Thank
any
you,
other
Nanda.
questions, Sohi?
No, I mean, good to see you.
Okay. Okay, in that case, yeah, I will give it back to you, Nanda. What shall
Thank
we
you
do?
very much, Professor Indu, for your beautiful and insightful Dhamma talk. Your clear and heartfelt sharing on the experience of awakening has reminded us that the Dhamma is not only to be studied, but directly experienced moment by moment through awareness, relaxation, and loving kindness. We are very grateful for the time and care you've given in preparing and presenting this series. May our continued sharing of Dhamma bring benefit to many and help all of us walk the path with wisdom and compassion. With deep appreciation and metta from all of us. Thank you, Professor. Just a short announcement. For the next 3 Saturdays, there will be no Dhamma talks, as many of our community members will be attending a meditation retreat. Our weekly Dhamma talks will resume on Saturday, 13th December 2025, as usual. Thank you very much. With metta.
Thank you.
Shall
Okay.
we share the merit now?
Yeah. Okay.
Sharing merit. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas, almighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you all. Have a nice weekend and peaceful and joyful weekend. Yeah. Thank you.
That's a brilliant talk,
Thank you.
Professor Indu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nanda. Yeah. Hope you had a great success in your retreats. Yeah. Please.
Thank you very much.
Share your insight. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye.